In today's video, we address misinformation and governmental inefficiency, revealing systemic contradictions.
You would have noticed something a little bit different that we don't usually do. We don't usually necessarily take on misinformation and disinformation or information that is false. That is changing. We are going to have to do so in this context where something is said that is not true. We will be countering it. We will come with the receipts. We will play the videos. From months ago, we have the records and we will do that. We have to focus on being able to respond to misinformation and disinformation. There's a lot of that out there in the public sphere, and we cannot leave it unchallenged. And so you will be seeing new approaches from the Ministry of Information in terms of dispelling those things. And in many instances, we call them misinformation and disinformation. Those are fancy words for lies. And so where there are lies, we will be correcting them. And there have been many of those. And I know Minister Morgan will be working very closely with me in relation to addressing that issue of lies that are proliferating. And we will give you the facts. And that's why we ask you to tune in here. Because we bring the ministers, we open them up for challenge and allow them to tell you the work that we're doing, and we tell you what we are doing in cabinet. Because what we do is not secret. We're doing it because we've been asked to do this by the people of Jamaica. And we take that role very, very seriously.
Folks, she said that the Honorable Minister said that disinformation, fancy words for lies. And she also said that we come with the receipts and we're going to be doing this and we're going to be dispelling that and all of this. And she said that's why we open up the ministers here so that, there is no secrecy. People can ask and they can get the information, and you shouldn't listen to certain people. You shouldn't cater to certain people for information. All right. What we have asked her to do, and she hasn't done so far, is we have asked her openly to come around here and engage us, because we would like to know the truth. We do not want to be involved in misinformation, disinformation, lies. That's not our goal. We don't thrive on that. We thrive on providing facts to our students, our people. That's what we do. And what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be bringing some receipts. We're going to be bringing some receipts to the table. And by the way, I know they're watching. Oh, by the way, big up the consulate in New York. We know no watch. Cringe now. We know no watch. The embassy, big up on yourself. No watch. Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. No watch. Because when they come around here to learn, because we teach about our own manuals and things of that nature. Because when they don't know it, when they write these things and put them on the shelves. What we have done is we've taken them off the shelves, dusted them off, and we've gone through them with a fine-tooth comb. And so we can school you about the documents that you have created simply because you're lazy. And as my father said, you don't care. You don't care. Part of that is because we allowed you to be don't care. We allowed you to carry on as business as usual without holding you accountable. Those days are behind us all. And so what we want to do now is we want to show you what the Prime Minister, in the same vein as Minister Dean Morris Dixon, talking about, misinformation, disinformation, lies that you have to be careful where you get your information from. When you come around here, we'll tell you, of course, scrutinize us. Be careful where you get your information from. But once you've gotten the information and you have verified it, end the story. The rest is up to you. End the story. Please, Professor, I can look them with this one now.
Those people are saying it here who are vested in telling you lies to mislead you. For what reason? I don't know. Maybe they want the country to descend in chaos. They don't like to see law and order. I'm saying to you, be careful of the information that you consume. Information is like food. If you consume bad food, it will make your body unhealthy. If you consume bad information, it will make your mind unhealthy. Why would somebody come on social media, make a post and say something that the government never said? And some people believe it. I urge all of you to think before you consume the lies that people are telling. It will only lead you to make bad decisions.
Yeah, folks, wait, that's the Prime Minister saying if you're getting bad information is like eating bad food. It will affect your constitution. And we don't want that to happen.
Not at all.
No. What we're going to do now, so we played you a video from Minister Dana Morris Dixon, and we've played you one from the Prime Minister. We're going to play you a third, and this one is from the Prime Minister. Now, the beauty about this video, big up yourself, producer Joan. The beauty about this video is that you could use this to address so many points because of the contradictions in there. And when I say contradictions, the things that he's saying or things that he said in that video, and then you compare them to things that he said elsewhere. And you see he needs a team around him, like the team that we have, where you can filter out, all of those kinds of things. We're talking about people with skill. Our team. I'm not talking about people who they just hang on and them have and nothing against people having degrees, but we know that we have a lot of people who are educated fools, and a lot of them are in the Jamaican. They're all over the place. But since we're talking about Jamaica, let's just stick to that. No, I want you to listen carefully to this video. And at some point, I think I'm going to ask the professor to pause so that he and I can have a little conversation about some of the things being said. Now, when this video is finished, we're going to show you some documents, and we're going to show you how devious this Prime Minister is. You are going to see for yourself, and I hope Minister Dana Morris Dixon is watching, because this is our contribution to the production. What should call it? Receipts. This is our contribution to the production of receipts. Please, Professor.
Who created the bureaucracy cannot be the people to fix the bureaucracy. It has to be a new generation of thinkers. We went through a period in Jamaica's history where all we were taught is that politicians are corrupt, systems are weak, and therefore we have to layer on a very thick bureaucracy. Today, we pay the price for a dense bureaucracy. There is a conflict between process and outcome, natural tension, and it is at the heart of the issue. No one wants to undermine. Corruption is a serious threat to growth, social order, and social. But bureaucracy, if it is not smart, if it is not agile, will create the condition under which corruption will thrive.
No, he's talking about bureaucracy, efficient. I don't know how many of you remember that in 2016, this Prime Minister started talking about the same, as Prime Minister, started talking about. He said we have to be agile, we have to cut through the red tape. We have to be efficient. We have to be effective. We use all the right terminology. And what happened last year, he introduced us to a monumental failure, a lady who occupied the seat of ambassador, the Jamaican ambassador to the United States, Ambassador Audrey Marks. He introduced us to her as the Minister of Efficiency, their Jamaican version of Doge.
Right.
From 2016, he's been talking about efficiency, and he couldn't find the person to engineer this efficiency initiative until 2020.
It took 9 years to find the right person.
The right person. I want you to remember that, because guess what? Jamaica is still inefficient. And go ahead, sir.
That's just because she just got into the position.
She's not a neophyte of politics. She was ambassador here, appointed. She was this last stint is her second stint. She put herself in the position to become an MP. Well, no, they appointed her to the Senate, and then she ran in the election, and she won the seat. So,
And I'm still not sure how that happened.
So what happened is I don't make any accommodations in terms of feeling sorry for her and say, well, she just started. She's been around. I know she has this position. And if you recall, people, where did she end up the other day? She was in the Baltics. I think it might have Estonia or Latvia, one of those places. When all she had to do was sit at her desk and go to the UN website, because they have lots of courses, lots of paper on how to make government. People, your money is not being spent wisely. Please continue.
I've said this before, I'll say it again.
Corruption and inefficiency are two different sides of the same coin.
Stop it there. Stop it there, Poopa. You what the Prime Minister said. The Prime Minister said corruption and inefficiency are, go back, it's two sides of the same coin. But plenty of people can hear that section. Just that little section.
People who created the bureaucracy cannot be the people to fix the bureaucracy. It has to be, if it is not agile, will create the condition under which corruption will thrive. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Corruption and inefficiency are two different sides of the same coin.
Corruption and inefficiency are two sides of the same. I'm going to show you something. Okay. Where the camera there? Which camera me have for this? You can see? Okay.
You want me to get a close up? Let me get a close up.
Give me a close up. Give me a close up.
Let me get a feature.
Feature. Then you don't have two sides, heads, tails, right? So this, where the camera there?
High, too high. All right.
Like this would be heads, right? And it's not magic. And this
Tails.
would be tails. So it's corruption and inefficiencies, then?
Yes.
Two sides. So
Same kind.
one is this side, and the other. I ask you a question. What is between the two sides of a?
The out,
What is? And you mentioned this one, the circumference.
the circumference.
Right. He's telling you about this and that. He's not telling you about this. This is between it. I know what this is. This is the Jamaican government between inefficiency and corruption. Right in the smart. He couldn't have said it better. He gave me that opening. He couldn't have said it better. Inefficiency, corruption, Jamaica government. Right in the middle, Mr. Prime Minister. I don't know if it's misinformation or disinformation or I don't know.
The question is what kind of information. And that's where it is.
This is it. And so when I'm telling you this or that, no, it's not just this or that. It's also this.
Yeah, the middle ground.
So let's go.
Listen, there's no gray area, right?
No gray area.
There is corruption, there is inefficiency. And whenever there is inefficiency,
So now I have to pause it to ask a question. Let's use today's exam. You requested an 18
Of last
2020. Your first response to said 8 is February 2020. Is that to say there is some inefficiency in that ministry in providing a response?
It's more than inefficiency. I think it's a downright disgrace that you have a law that seeks to provide the Jamaican public, not just the Jamaican public, so it seeks to provide anyone from obtaining information from the Jamaican government. And the law says you must provide that information within 30 days with an allowance of an additional 30 days, a maximum of 60 days. And here it is more than 6 months after the 60. Because it went in May and they acknowledged. And the first 30 days would have ended in June. Second 30 day period in July. So now you have August, September, October, November, December, January, and we're in February. More than 6 after the extended. So that's gross. If it's inefficiency, you have to put the word gross in front of it and say this is gross inefficiency.
So is the Prime Minister then confessed that within the ministry where we have...
Yes, he is, either directly or indirectly, admitting that there is corruption in the government. And he would be lying. And the reason I say lying is because I was going to use disinformation or misinformation, but you heard what the minister said. The minister said those are fancy words for lie. The Prime Minister would be lying if he said there's no corruption. Or if he said that there is little corruption, because we don't live in utopia. So you're going to have, it's not a perfect society.
Right.
We all have blemishes. So you're going to have some level of corruption. If he says, oh, we only have a little corruption, he'd be lying. He'd be lying. I mean, we can roll off of our tongues the amount of corruption that has gone on in Jamaica and that is still going on in Jamaica. And you know what, people? If you don't believe us, just look at the corruption index. They didn't move Jamaica, although Jamaica should have moved. The Jamaica's position should have been moved. They kept Jamaica where Jamaica was the year at 40. And remember what the index, what it means. Anything under 50, it's 1 to 100. Anything under 50 is very corrupt. Any country that scores under 50 means your country is very corrupt. And Jamaica's scored. Play a little bit more before we jump. Finish with the misinformation lies.
So, how? We have 5 hours worth of it. How are we going to be finished with it?
Well, yeah, right.
It's a fatal error to believe that layering on new pieces of laws and legislation and making them tighter and stronger, that is going to stop corruption. The lessons to be learned is that we must resolve the conflict between process and outcome. And how can this be resolved? Well, if you think about it, the bureaucratic mindset seeks to protect process, protect jobs, protect friendships, don't disclose, conceal inefficiency, the squaddy the clique mentality, that's bureaucracy. A delivery mindset, the mindset to say, let me get things done, doesn't do that. I want to see things done. I want to see the objective attained. That's culture. There is very little that can be done.
I want to see things attained. Yes.
Styling, both drill.
Drill.
We have a whole range of
We needed to get things done.
market me. We have a whole bunch of contracts, direct contracts, emergency contracts. We have a whole bunch of them, and that's how we get things done. Yes, that's how we get things done. That's how we become. You know what? Claim a little bit more because I really want to jump the articles and show you how disingenuous this man.
We have to get you things so that when you come into the public service, you with an out mindset. Avoid bureaucratic mindset. I am not going to do anything that is going to put my at risk. My boss tell me that if the I is not dotted, I'm sending it back. And the boss looks at the law and said they must bring they must submit their application with everything correct. Well, my interpretation means that every word must be.
All right, so you say that, and then all of a sudden now you find problems with the wording of the Integrity Commission or the Commission. Yeah, well,
The manifesto never have every word spelled correctly.
that's true. Manifesting it having every word spelled correctly. That is true. That is so true. But again, I would like to show you something. And these people are playing games, but they're playing games with the wrong people because we'll let you play it. And sometimes some of you say, "Oh no, but you tell them too much and things like that." No, we don't, because there are things that we have. And there are things that we haven't said that we will never say, and there are things that we haven't said that we're waiting for the right moment, and there are things that we've said because and we need it. Let me show you another ATI from the same Ministry of Finance and the public. All right, look at this. The same thing with the same date. Go up again. All right, stop right here.
It was a wholesale response.
All right, look at this one right here. It says the Ministry of Finance and Public Service acknowledges receipt of your ATI request dated May 11, 2025. Right?
Let me drop my highlight.
There it is right here. This is when they're responding, February 16, 2026. And look at when they said my inquiry was dated May 11, 2025. Again, people, they have 30 days to respond with an extension of another 30-day period. 60 days. I should have had a response by last. Just got a response. Look at this. In its 2016 manifesto, we will introduce mandatory disclosure of integrity reports by the Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, and the Minister of... That's what they said. We will introduce mandatory disclosure. In addition, we will make it mandatory that the appointment to sensitive posts be approved by a 2/3 majority in each House of Parliament, thereby requiring consensus between the government and the opposition. That word consensus is a word that's largely in the engagement between the government and the opposition. The government has no they're just going to do what they have to do because they have the numbers in Parliament. And even now, I need to remind my brothers and sisters, we said, oh, the opposition has doubled the number of members in the House of Representatives. Frankly speaking, it means nothing, except where you need a 2/3 vote. But if it's just a simple majority, it means nothing. You have, because the way it works in Jamaica, the first party to cross the finish line, they run the, and this is exactly what's going on. But here are the two questions. I asked, did the government of Jamaica remember what they said? We're going to introduce mandatory disclosure of integrity reports by the Minister of Finance. So that means that our former Minister, Dr. His statutory declaration should have been publicized as a summary, as they did and they do with the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition. That's one. Did the government do that? And number two, did the government make it mandatory for the appointments of the Chief Justice and Governor of the Bank of Jamaica to be approved by a 2/3 majority in each house? Did they make it mandatory? For them to do that with the Chief Justice is going to require 2/3 vote. They're right, because it has to do with the Constitution, because the Chief Justice's position is as Isaac would say, is a creature of the Constitution. Look at the sentence below. Kindly refer your request to the entity listed below. So what she's telling me is that we don't have that. So you're going to have to go the Houses of Parliament information, Mrs. Colleen Law. That's not how it's supposed to be done. This is let's call it a trick as to how you handle ATI. She's not supposed to tell me tell me to refer to this lady. She's supposed to send it and then tell me that she's forwarded it. Miss Carleen Smith, and you're doing it for the financial. I don't want to have to go to her, and complain. But Miss Carleen Smith, you need to know that if you don't have the answer, but you know who has the answer, you're supposed to forward it.
But going to complain to the financial, no, I don't see anything wrong with that. Because at that point, your representative, in my estimation, you sent me to go look for this, which you're not supposed to.
Correct.
It's a part of the same, it's a lot.
Correct.
So, in this, the financial secretary and the representative of the financial secretary get me.
That's true. That's that. Here it is that we went to the speech. The first one we went to the speech made by the Prime Minister, and the second one we went to the manifesto, and was a comprehensive, honest answer. We can't get that. We get one that we don't know these terms, and this other one, oh, you need to go talk to this person over there. But we're having fun. We don't get frustrated by these things because we want to point them out to you. Oh, Professor, let's go to the documents now. I think the first one is from Trinidad.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, from Trinidad. Folks, you saw this coming. I know you saw this coming. Don't tell me that you didn't see this coming. All right. What we're about to do now. This is we didn't even go to Jamaica for this one. We went to Trinidad and Jamaica for this. And it says massive salary hike for just political directorate. So all the people in the parliament, they're going to get a massive. And you recall, this was a few years ago. And there it is right here. It says the political directorate has raked in huge salary increases with compensation to members of parliament and cabinet ministers, surging past 2%. Members of the legislature sat and listened intently yesterday as Finance and the Public Service Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, announced the massive hikes in a statement to the House. Because
I guess something that we are familiar with. It's not new. What? Over 1,000. It's not new news. Just want to make sure that you remember.
Third, 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph. Cabinet ministers have received a 230% increase in salary up to April 1, 2024, with their pay moving from 6.9 million in 2021 to 22.9. As of April 1st, 2023, cabinet ministers will take home an annual salary of 20.2. Keep going, sir. All right. This is a part I want you. This is a point. This is a part we're going to spend. The Prime Minister's salary jumps by 200%, with his pay moving from 9.1 million to 28.6 million on April 1st, 2020. Effective April 1st, 2023, the head of government will get 25 million. Go to the next one. So around that they passed this thing and they said, yes, everybody's going to get a huge second one. May 2022, 2023. This is from Jamaica Information. Yes. These are the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, has declined his salary increase under the new public sector compensation regime. His salary will remain at its current level of 9.16 million. Remember what he was supposed to get, 25, 28 million. And he says, no, Mr. Morgan, you have to take the salary because there are people talking about whether they should or shouldn't. And he said, no. Once the law's been passed, you have to take your salary. You can, the only way you can escape taking the salary is you. Look at what the Prime Minister did. He said, I have directed the transformation. By the way, how many of you ever heard of that unit? The transformation, big words, transformation implement unit to remove the Prime Minister's compensation from the new salary scale. The Prime Minister's compensation, therefore, will remain at its previous level. No retroactive payments will apply to the Prime Minister. Next article. To be clear. Next article. Here it is. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has declined his salary increase amid public backlash. He said 9 million, that's where we stay. And by the way, I filed an ATI and they responded by saying that, yes, indeed, the Prime Minister is only making 9.1 million. Of course, he gets some perks. And the reason I asked the question was because someone had said, well, he's the Minister of Defense. He's the Office of the Prime Minister. He runs that. And there's another one. There's another the Office of the Prime Minister, Minister of Defense, Prime Minister, all that. And I said, does he get 2 or 3 salaries? And the answer is no. He gets 1 salary. So all right. No, skip that. We missed we have the video.
All right. This is so. I've been having so much fun today as we put this together. We have fun every time we put the information together.
Your man talk lie. Oh, 20 and 20. And your man talk lie. Oh, 20 million and 20. Me not take. So my salary is what it was before. And I tell you something, I feel like just give back to. It's on, Me not like people. Oh.
Go to the next.
Oh, I can't, Mr. Rattigan.
Hello, I'm Jovan Johnson. Information Minister Robert Morgan says Prime Minister Andrew Holness's decision to decline his 214% salary hike and keep his yearly $9 million pay is binding on all former and future heads of government. The figure is critical for former prime ministers in particular because their pension is tied to the salary of the current office holder. Billionaire businessman Michael...
You know what he said? He said the Prime Minister has decided. Remember, this was the same minister who said you cannot not take this increase. No, you must take the increase. This is Minister Morgan. And then he came back and he said, oh, the Prime Minister decided that he's not going to take it because he went to this fancy schmancy component of the Ministry of Finance. And they said, no, we're not going to do it. And remember what he said? I said that the fact that he's not taking it, it is binding on previous and future prime ministers. Right? It is binding on them. Do we have any more videotape for that?
No, not that one.
Right? Prime Minister Holness accepts 28 million salary. Remember him saying, I'm a proud man, my salary no move, People that talk a lot. Right? Salary move. Slide up from a place. All right, look at this. It says, the Office of the Prime Minister has announced that Dr. Andrew Holness will accept the full salary and emoluments, meaning perks, attached to the office. Look at this one.
Retroactive.
Remember, he don't want no retroactive pay. He don't want the salary and don't want the retroactive, nothing. Retroactive to set year. This means that the Prime Minister will now earn a salary of 28.5 million, up from his current salary of just over 9 million. According to the OPM, following careful review and internal consultations, as if they didn't have this when he... Now they have it. They have a careful review and internal consultations. They didn't have it when he refused the year before. It was agreed that the Prime Minister should accept the compensation structure proposed. See this? In 2023, Prime Minister accept because of backlash against the salary increases, political directorate. At the time, Dr. Holness noted another prime minister was said, it's ending, the fact that he wasn't taking it, ending on previous prime ministers and future prime ministers, because you know, the previous prime ministers, their salary is tied to the salary of the current prime minister, right? And he said, listen, I'm not moving from 9 million. So guess what? It is binding now. The people before me and the people that come after me, Parliament has since been advised to effect the change retroactive to September 2025. And OPM added that adjustments are to follow for the pensions of former prime ministers and their surviving spouses. Former prime ministers are paid a pension equal to the sitting head of government. And the change will benefit former prime ministers PJ Patterson, Bruce Golding, and Portia Miller. You can move that. Folks, going on. Taxes are going to be levied. New taxes, as well as existing taxes, they're going to be levied on the people who are not earning a livable wage.
Why do you say that, Mr. Rattigan?
Because the prime minister's salary is going up at a time when it should, if there's a time where it should stay at 9, it's not.
Hold on. Hold the most dangerous. Going to have said increase, then clearly there is money there to facilitate that increase. So why do we need to?
Well, they said that engage in some austerity measures. They have to, belt tightening measures. They have to save money. And one of the ways you save money is by taxing people, because you get more money out of them. So now more, and see, people understand this, when they tax a business, you think that business is going to sit back and just absorb all of that taxes and not to the consumer? You are going to pay. At the end of the day, it is you who will be suffering, not the businessmen. Because if they used to sell something for $1 and they raise the taxes and now they have to pay $1.50, rest assured they're going to sell you that goods for $1.75. They're going to sell you for $1.75. So they make the dollar that they would normally make, and it is 5 cents extra because the government is charging 50. I need to pay that.
Talk to the people directly, please.
Yeah, and when we just sit down there and we just accept it. This is ridiculous, people. We need to get out and do what is, or conduct ourselves in a legal manner. Get your permit, protest. Because otherwise, if you sit down and you take it, they're fine with it. And they could care less. They really don't give aid to you. They don't. And this is a clear case of it. So, Morris Dixon, we have the receipts. In fact, it's the receipts. Because it's OPM that decided that after careful consideration that they're going to now make sure that the Prime Minister can get money, and the money is going to go back to September, retroactive, so him getting the money going back to the, September of last year.
And that's with the other part. So is it the money that's saved from him not taking the increase that is going to, no?
Well, put it this way, because that one thing wasn't getting it then. See, right, that's one you're looking at it, but that money was budgeted for something else, right? When it's in a consolidated fund, so that's money, but they can't attribute that to him paying taxes on it. So that money was budgeted else. Now it will reflect the increase in his salary, and he won't pay taxes on 28 million going forward per year. This is terrible. Jamaican people, like my father would have said in life, because there's no escape. There's no escape for sufferer. None. And I can tell you because I hear the cries of the people on a daily basis for help, and the help is not forthcoming. I wish I could help every single person in Jamaica. Really would. At the end of the day, some of the assistance that people are asking for, that's government ability. And the government is not doing what it should be doing. So, just so you know, things are going up, and the Prime Minister's salary just went up starting. And I start calculating from September of last year. So you can get a nice little change for the Christmas. Whenever you never spend the money there, and the money there coming in handy to him now. And think about it, this man is one of the wealthiest politicians in the Caribbean. They really need the money. What they must tell you is that he had to take a particular law. And then what he could have done, he could have said, I'm wealthy, so wealthy that I don't need this money. what I'm going to do is I'm going to establish a foundation. By the way, I'm of a foundation thing, but a foundation to take in money. He claims him help out people and all that. But he could have sent the money to that foundation. I don't know. But he could have used that money. He could have walked away from it and just said, you have this. If he didn't agree, right? He didn't take it back in 2023, 20 period was. Why no? Why is it now opium had a careful discussion?
Is it that the opium has spent?
OPM has more than 18 years. And they're so efficient that they have one NEPA supposed to take environment. And I said was because we're not doing it. And you recall that there was a spillage in the real corporate.
Yes.
From that company that the manufacturer, etc. What happened? That NEPA and the that's off like sets of stooges. They went back and forth, and then NEPA decided to give the company a break. And the DPP's office was saying, oh, we didn't get the documents in time so that we could decide whether we're going to prosecute her. It's nonsense. Just not. Same thing happened. And talk about efficiency, going back to the first topic. Same, Grace Martin and Bernard from the Ministry of Education. When the Ministry of Education was supposed to coordinate with the Ministry of Finance to institute surcharge action to collect 120 million plus.
Okay.
It allowed, or that they were involved to leave the ministry, a third party. And what happened? Same thing, back and forth. The statute of limitation was similar. One of them, the statute ran out. The other one, the DPP didn't respond. They claimed that they didn't, whatever. Bottom line is that people are free. And sufferers continued. But, people is just